What's up, YouTube? ¿Qué lo que? My name is Christian Ramos, and I'm the one, the only, the curl papi. Even though today I don't have curls, because my hair's in a braid, but that's what we're going to be talking about, braids. If you like curly hair content, which I know you do because you clicked on this video, please press subscribe. And if you're a returning viewer and subscriber, was good. So braids, a hairstyle, an art form, a topic of conversation, and a celebration of beauty, culture, and history. Braids can be traced back as far as several thousands of years, and in 2024, for many, it's a go-to vacation style, a form of expression, and a way to protect your hair. Listen, I love me some vacation braids because if you have curly hair and natural hair, you already know that you don't want to deal with hair while you're on vacation. Now the real question is, do you know the origin of braids? Do you think anyone and everyone can wear them? Or do you think that they're being exploited as the next get-rich-quick scheme with these astronomical prices that people are charging for them? Let's find out. Braids have a widespread number of origins and interpretations across the world. From Vikings who used braids in battle in Scandinavia in 800 AD to the figurine of Venus of Wellingdorf that's over 20,000 years old from northern Italy. Evidence shows that hair braiding was started with the Himba people in what is now modern-day Namibia back in 3500 BC. Braiding was used to define tribes, social status, gender, age, religion, marital status, and even fertility. Hair braiding was a communal activity where close relatives spent hours creating elaborate and socially symbolic patterns. The braids created were often lengthened by including bits of woven hay, goat hair, and a very distinct red paste called otjes, symbolizing the essence of life, which is earth's red rich color and blood. Now that we discussed the origins of braids, let's talk about braids culturally around the world. Egyptian braids. Ancient Egyptians were known for their fancy, intricate braids, which were an important part of cultural identity. The ancient Egyptians believed that braiding hair could ward off evil spirits and bring good luck. Upper class men and women would wear elaborate braided styles, bedazzled with beads, jewels, and gold thread. And of course we can't talk about the Egyptians without mentioning Cleopatra, whose trend-setting styles have lasted up until today. Greek braids. In ancient Greece, hair braiding was a symbol of social status and occupation. Women of different classes wore distinct braided styles, with intricate updos reserved for aristocrats and simpler braids for the working class. Styles were inspired by the ethereal beauty of Greek goddesses like Athena and Hera. Indigenous braids. Braiding was and still is an important cultural tradition among many indigenous American tribes. While each tribe has its own relationship to braids, many see braiding as a spiritual act, with the three strands representing the body, mind, and spirit. The slave trade. When the slave trade began, Africans lost their identity and traditions, but also their hair, as it was shaved for sanitary reasons. In the New World, slaves continued to embrace the traditions of hair braiding to stay connected to their culture. For those who tried to escape, braids were used to draw out roots that would lead many away from captivity. Okay, so now we're on to the modern day. And did you guys know that Cicely Tyson was the first woman to ever wear braids on television?
And complain about the braids.
No, well, you know what, Ellis, we were so hung up about our hair that, I mean, we were led to believe that it was unattractive and because it was nappy or kinky and all of those things. And I hope that by now, it's been 12 years for me, and I hope by now we've come through that thing. And I think the braids is the other end of that whole line, you know, from the natural, where when I wore it, people looked at me and said, why don't you go home and comb your hair or do something else? Even my mother went through a whole thing about that. I mean, she forbid me to come and visit her because she thought she was embarrassed about the whole thing. And I think hair got completely out of proportion. If you want to straighten it, you straighten. If you want to wear it natural, you wear it natural. But you shouldn't be made to feel embarrassed because you are dealing with your God-given whatever it is.
Yeah, and how you want it to be.
Cicely Tyson is credited as the first person to wear braids on television, which caught the eye of many and started a hair revolution. Bo Derek made headlines for wearing cornrows in the 1979 film 10, and the masses credited her for the look, and cornrows became known as the Bo braids.
While Bo Derek's total look is next to impossible to duplicate, her hairstyle in the movie 10 has sparked a whole new craze in hair fashion, and the idea seems to be catching on in San Diego. Becoming a 10 is no easy feat. It's a painstaking process, taking anywhere from 4 to 8 hours to complete.
It's just a slow process. You have to take tiny sections of the hair and make sure they're all equally. You have to keep your tension equal, especially in the cornrowing right up in here. The tension has to be just right to keep it in, and it has to be equal to make it look natural.
The most tedious part of the process is making the braids thin enough to slide beads up the shaft of the braid. The 10 hairdo is one of the more expensive hairstyles around. The average price in San Diego from $25 to $50 an hour. Brenda's 10 will take 4.5 hours to finish. She feels the $150 tab is well worth it.
It's a lot of fun to have, to wear, and you don't have to take much care of it. It's freedom not to take care of your hair, too. You just can wash it and just let it go, whereas, I'd have to work with it before.
Of course, the complete 10 hairdo isn't for everyone, and some experimenters say they've taken the coward's way out.
I wasn't sure if I could handle the attention that this hairdo attracts. I just wasn't that confident in myself, so I decided I would go halfway, and it's been a lot of fun.
Now, the Hobo Derek situation is one of the first of many controversies that braids have had in society, whether it comes to cultural appropriation, who can wear them, and cost of the style. Now, it wasn't that long ago that Kim Kardashian got into some controversy for wearing braids and calling them bow braids. Now, from what I showed you guys so far, we know that braids exist in many cultures, but the particular style of braids Kim was wearing, and Bo for that fact, are called Fulani braids, which come from the Fulani people in West Africa. Considering Kim Kardashian has been around black women and has been heavily influenced by black women, you would think she knows better. It's one thing to wear a particular style, and it's another to take something that has existed before you were even born and name it something else, and erase the historical significance it's had on a particular group of people. But enough about Kim, because we can sit here for hours and talk about how she has stolen things that don't belong to her. Kimono. Now, we can't have an honest and genuine conversation around braids if we don't discuss why people like Kim, Bo, and so many others get backlash for wearing a particular style of braids, when in reality, when people, let's just say it, have been using braids and styles of braids for so many long, and it was either deemed as ghetto, ratchet, unprofessional, unkempt, and when people like Kim, Bo, and so many others make it popular, it's viewed as, oh, we're setting a new trend. Oh, this is acceptable. The reality is we can blame it on one of the many isms, colorism, racism, but that's a video for another day, and we have a lot more to discuss. Now, I don't blame people for wanting to get a particular style of braids, but you gotta do better. You need to know the name of the style, and you need to know where the style came from. And listen, when you go to places like the Caribbean, especially me when I go to Dominican Republic and you stay in a resort, you do see people offering services for you to braid your hair, and they're super affordable prices. But what people fail to realize is that not every hair type is made for every hairstyle. People neglect to understand the tension and the pressure that goes into braiding your hair. Coarser hair and thicker hair are going to be able to handle styles like braids better than those that aren't. I can't tell you the countless amount of videos I see online all the time of people braiding their hair and they're crying, they can't handle it, they don't want to finish because their scalp literally cannot handle the style. Now listen, I am not here to debate who can wear what type of style of braids in their hair. I am Dominican and Puerto Rican, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and if you know anything about New York, we are a literal melting pot of people and cultures, and we literally all borrow from one another. If you guys would like to have a respectful discussion down in the comments, go right ahead. But what I do want to talk about is the crazy prices that people are charging for braids these days. And not only the crazy prices, but we have the Instagram hair braiders that have crazy rules and regulations, crazy policies, and listen, it's just it's a hot mess, honestly. So let's get into that. Pre-social media, when you wanted to get your hair braided, you would go to someone you know, like a family or a friend, or if you're like me and you live in New York, you would go to one of the hundreds or thousands of African hair braiding salons. Now, since the rise of social media and actually after the pandemic, many people had hobbies and skills that they wanted to monetize and make a business. So you saw a rise and an influx of the social media hair braiders. Now listen, I'm not knocking nobody's hustle because I started my own hustle with Curl Saints. I sell hair products, but there is a fine line that a lot of people are voicing online about professionalism and what the expectations are of these social media hair braiders. A lot of the times when you are finding someone on social media that's a hair braider, they have a down payment that you have to put or a deposit, which is fine because that'll at least secure your spot to get your hair braided. But a lot of people are complaining that when they do down payments or deposits, it's not going towards the actual service. Another criticism about the social media hair braider is the hoops and ladders that they want you to go through before even getting the service done. They want you to have your hair detangled. They want you to have your hair blown out. They want you to pay a late fee although you showed up early, and they're the ones that are actually late because they have somebody else in the chair. Did I forget to mention that people are stealing other people's work and content and passing it up as their own and scamming people out of their deposits? Yeah, that's happening.
This woman here has put this hot mess in my head and is now calling the cops on me because I don't want to pay for it, and I asked her to take it down.
I rendered a service for an individual. However, I had solid issues at my salon, so I can't render it.
This woman has put this in my head and wants me to pay for it.
Not willing to pay, so I advise her that step by taking.
Now, when I get my hair braided, I only have to worry about cornrows, either 2 or 4, and I don't have to worry about the intricate styles that go with like box braids, feed-in braids. There's so many different styles of braids that you can mention. That hard work really goes into it, and a lot of time goes into it. But where do we draw the line between professionalism and a money grab? Lucky for me, I have a bunch of female friends that get their hair braided on a regular basis, and I actually asked them how much they pay for braids.
So the most that I have ever paid for braids is around $300 to $350, and that's when I bring in my own hair. I started getting braids when I was like 11. I was paying like $150 at the time, hair included, but now I can get braids done, box braids, for $350 maximum when I bring my own hair.
In the past, I've paid between $150 and $200 for braids.
The most I ever paid for braids was $250. I know people.
So a lot of people tend to ask me how much I pay for my braids, my locks, whatever I have, and my hair can range anywhere between $200 to $250. It all depends on the style, the length, etc.
Now, I'm not going to tell anyone what they should pay for braids because, number one, everybody sees a dollar different. What I think is expensive, you might see is cheap. You got money if you listen. You got money because I don't. Also, braiding is a very labor-intensive job. The hours that it takes for you to complete a style can take 3, 4, 5, 6, even 12 hours sometimes. Now, when you're choosing someone to do your hair, make sure that you are looking at reviews, genuine reviews, and that you are reading those policies and procedures like your life depends on it so that you don't get got out here, okay? And listen, if you don't like an environment and a service, don't get your hair done there. If you don't want your hair braider to be braiding out of their home, don't get your hair braided with them. If you don't like that they have to give a deposit, don't get your hair braided there. If you don't like a policy and procedure that they have on their website, don't get your hair braided there. Listen, I hope you guys like this video because I put a lot of time and effort into this video. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, follow me on all of my social platforms as The Curl Poppy. Follow my hair care brand, Curl Saints, at Curl Saints. Again, let's be very respectful in the comment section. Let's not get out of pocket because I've gotten recently some comments that are like really out of pocket where I'm like, if you don't like this video, don't watch it. Just like you shouldn't get your hair braided somewhere you don't like. Alright guys, till next time. Bye!